Hey, and good morning. How is everybody this morning? It's good to be here. And I'm simulcasting on all the things today. I've had some interesting conversations with the folks at Twitch recently, And it sounds like I'm more safe than I think in trying to broadcast in a lot of places. And there's a bunch of viewers that have tuned in from a bunch of other channels. I have people here on Periscope and on Facebook and YouTube. So thank you guys all for joining me. This is kind of cool to have all of you tuning in. As we do every day, we spend a little bit of time talking about things and stuff, and we get into some coding. And today we actually have a special guest joining us, probably right around 11 a.m. Eastern, so about an hour. I've got a friend of mine. His name is Doug DeVitre, and he's going to be joining us on the channel. Let's see if we get our sound effect.
Mom!
There it is. It took a little second, but welcome, Jan Blank. So that is that's the plan for today. He's going to join us right around 11, so in an hour. So I thought we'd see just how much we can get done between now and then. So let my people code. Greg, you're asking which chats do I see? Well, because of StreamYard, I actually see all the chats, and so I can see everything that's being said on every platform that I'm broadcasting to all at the same time. So pretty cool. Anyway, we want to build some stuff. So what I'm going to do is give you a quick recap of where we are, and then we'll get right into it. So let me flip over to this view. Boom. There's some code for you. And we'll get into this in just a second. But the other thing that we should do is I think I need a new browser. Let's do a new browser window on this actual screen that you can see. And go to developer.amazon.com. That's where I'm spending my time building the skill. Can I know who's participating from which mode? Startup asks. I don't think it shows me that, although when I see the chat messages, it does indicate what platform you're on. But right now it says I have 11 people on Periscope, 17 people on Twitch, and 2 people on Facebook. So I can see the quantities, but I don't know who is who on each of them. But when you chat, it does show me where you posted the chat, whether that came from YouTube or Twitch or Facebook or whatever. So we're going to try this going forward and see if this works for everybody, because I would like to be broadcasting in more places, and this seemed like a cool place to do that. So all right, so here we are. We have my skill. I'm going to go into this TKO trivia, which is the thing that we're building. And we'll look at our interaction model, because this is where we left off yesterday. So yesterday we did a couple of things. We added this category full list intent and this category list intent. These are things that let the users know what all the categories are that are available inside of our skill. And I can show you how these work here. We'll go to my test tab, open that as a new tab, and we can play with this a little bit. So the first thing that I want to do is open the game. Before I do that, I should actually get my code running. So let me just fire up my code here locally so that we can see any debugging issues that we run into or any errors. So now we just need to create an app that combines all the chat in one place so we can interact with each other. That's a good point, Screechrat. It would be nice to kind of translate the chat across the multiple channels, but I'll be the person to do that, because oh, here we go, Salt and Burnham. Where's your sound? It's being kind of slow today. There it is. It's a rockin' tune. Beck Shan is here this morning. Good morning. Good to see everybody. Beck Shan is actually a voice designer, lives here in Columbus, and recently joined the Alexa team at Amazon. I was so happy to see her make the jump and join our team. So very, very exciting. Mike Hardington is here. Hello, everybody. All right, so I've got my code running here in the background. So let's go test this out a little bit, and I'll just show you how this works. So I'm calling it Jeff's Trivia Game right now. Ultimately, you'll see that I'm calling it TKO Trivia. That's where we'll end up eventually. But I'm going to say open Jeff's Trivia Game, like so.
This is TKO Trivia, a trivia game with 20 different categories that will knock you out.
Turn my volume up a little bit too, so you guys can hear that better. All right. I'm happy you're here too, Shannon. I'm really happy about that. All right, so that is the entry, and then we want to list the category. So I'm going to say list. Let's see, what were some of the examples that I used yesterday? If we come in here and we look at like category list, tell me we'll do tell me the categories.
Oops.
Oh,
It
see, we
looks
already
like
broke
one
something.
of our programmers broke something. I will let them know and have them fix it as soon as possible. In
So
the meantime,
what could we have
you can
broken
always
there?
ask for a random question or start a new quiz, right?
That's all right. That's true. But why are we getting an error? because it thought. Tell me the categories. It was a typo. That's why. I was like, man, that seems like a weird thing to have break. But if you don't type it properly, it doesn't work. Thank you, Oxygen Box. Tell me the categories. There we go.
Here are a couple of categories I'd recommend: geography, design, technology, people, or United States. You can always ask for the full list of categories if you want to hear all 20 of them. Which category would you like to try?
Which category would I like to try? And I could say something like United States, and then that just gets me right into a question.
Here is a question from the United States category. What runs for approximately 2,200 miles from Springer Mountain in Georgia to Mount Katahdin in Maine?
Good morning, Artrin. Good morning, Corey Haynes. Does anyone know the answer to this question? I know I always ask that, but the answer is technically on the screen. It is the Appalachian Trail. There's Artrin's sound. The Appalachian Trail, Greg says.
What is your answer?
What is your answer? Trail. Not trial. Appalachian Trail. Did I spell that right? Yeah. There we go.
All righty. You got that one right. The answer was the Appalachian Trail. The Appalachian Trail is the longest hiking-only trail in the world. More than 2 million people are said to take a hike on part of the trail at least once each year. What should we do this time?
Cool. So we were able to ask what the questions or the categories were. It gave us 5 different categories, and then we used that knowledge to say, hey, I want to do a question from this category. And so that's kind of how this voice adventure works, right? And actually, since Beck Shan's here, maybe I can get her opinion on this. Check this out. If I say, let's come back up here. I'm going to add tell me the categories to my list of things that I keep up here saved. But I'm going to do list the categories, and I want you to listen to this because there are several categories that are 2 words. And so it might be like art and stage. And if I'm giving these in a list, I would say things like, here's your list of categories: sports, science, art and stage, on and on and on. But what I'm finding is that Alexa is selective in how she pronounces these things. And I think I'm probably going to have to go, and really rethink how I write this speech, because what ends up happening is she says, here's the categories: science, sports, art, and stage. Like she's almost putting this huge bloated break in between the first word and the word and, instead of just trying to say that all as one term. And I don't know the right way through SSML or prosody or anything to get her to like lump those without just rewriting an entire phoneme string to get it to pronounce it exactly the way I want. I don't know. There's some timing in there. I'm not exactly sure how to solve that one yet, but we'll get there. So here, I'll let you hear it.
TKO Trivia has 20 categories of questions. They are miscellaneous, business world, geography, food and drink, nature, history, film, United States, politics, music, art and stage, design, literature, sports and games, TV and radio, technology, language, tradition and beliefs, people, or science. Which category would you like to try?
So I think you can probably hear the ones that were an example, but it's weird that TV and radio, it always treats differently. And it's just that little bit of break. Or she speeds up the prosody or tweaks things with breaks. I've even spelled things differently so it says it correctly. Not sure that's right, but I'm new. No, I'm absolutely with you on that, Shannon. I tend to do the same thing. I will misspell things on purpose to get things said the right way. I also use a lot of the phoneme libraries to get exactly the pronunciation or even the emphasis that I want on the right words. But this feels different to me, and I'm not sure exactly how I want to, how exactly I should solve that problem. Corey, you want some breaths in there? I could put some breaths in there. We could do that. Is that the actual syntax, or did you did you pseudocode that? Alexa SSML breath. You just copied it from here? Because the other option I have, let's see if I can find breath. That's not the one I want. That's the only mention of breath here? Really? Oh, so I have to choose to tell Paula automatically create breathing noises at appropriate intervals. I haven't actually done this. Let's do this. What a great recommendation, Corey. Thank you. So we come into our code here. We're going to go into category full list intent. This is the long one. And I'm just going to wrap this whole thing in that tag. And then at the end here, like that, we'll do a closer. Let's see what that sounds like. It might be totally chewing. Is there? There's not chewing, is there? I mean, okay, now I know you're not. Okay, so I was gonna say, man, chewing seems like a weird sound effect to add in there. That's good. Let's list the categories again and see if we get some breath sounds or maybe an error. Or maybe an error.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
What don't you like? Invalid SSML element, Amazon auto breaths. I wonder if I can only do that with poly voices. Interesting. I mean, it was listed on a poly page. Amazon auto breaths. I don't see that example here. Amazon breath, Amazon auto breaths. I just wonder if maybe the auto breaths are, Corey, I love it. I wonder if I have to be using Brian's voice. This is actually something that I was meaning to fix today. We could go look at that. If we look at our, didn't I have like interceptors? Here we go. Response interceptor. We had this thing set up where we were basically changing out the voice. Let's do that and see if we can't get Brian's voice back. And then maybe it'll work. All right, man. See ya. So the Alexa voice doesn't support breath. That's fine. So we'll try Brian instead. Still running. Let's do this. Open Jeff's trivia game.
This is TKO Trivia.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
It might not be supported at all inside Alexa, which is certainly possible. But that's too bad because I would like to do that. Having some breath in there would be good. All right, we'll take it out. I like that Brian's back, though.
Welcome to TKO Trivia, the trivia game show. TKO Trivia has 20 categories of questions. They are people, language, politics, technology, TV and radio, science, literature, geography, food and drink, nature, history, art and stage, sports and games, design, United States, tradition and beliefs, music, business world, film, or miscellaneous. Which category would you like to try?
Okay, there we go. So he actually says them a little bit better, but it's still not good. So I'm going to have to think about how I want to change those pronunciations. I'm not going to worry about that for now, but that is something that we will want to do. I should probably start. What's the right? I'll do this in GitHub. I was thinking about where I could keep my list. Usually I keep just like a markdown file in my project, but I feel like I could just have issues here that I need to deal with. So let's create a new issue, which is category names that include and need a better pronunciation. Pronunciation might be one of the words that I most hate spelling. I don't mind spelling. I know how to spell it. It's pretty natural to spell. But I've mentioned this before. I use the word pronounce and pronunciation quite often when I'm talking about Alexa stuff. And it drives me crazy that to pronounce something, pronounce that, but pronunciation, this. Where did the O go? It should be pronunciation. It should be the same. It's the same base word, pronunciation. But somebody decided there's no O there, and it makes me angry. This is one of those words that just makes me angry. So we can say this applies to the category list intent and the category full list intent. Okay. Issue logged. I have another one in here that I should probably create, which is everything that no, we need here. Let's do this the other way. Answer intent swallows all erroneous messages. We need to handle that. This is especially an issue when we haven't even asked a question yet. Okay. Okay, so now if I go look at my issues, I've got a couple of things that I can look at, and we can keep a nice log of these and even identify which issues we're going to work on as we go through some of this stuff. Okay, so that category listing stuff is working, but again, I've got myself to a point where I have like all of these different speech chunks that are just living inside of my code, and I don't want that. So I'm going to take this one. Which category would you like to try? Let's go throw that in a database, and we'll make some decisions about what we should call that. So in here in our speech table, we need a speech type first, and this is going to be category query, because I'm asking you what category do you want. So we have a category query, and then in here I need a category query type. It needs to be NUS, and my question is going to be, what category would you like to try? We can do a couple more too. Category query, NUS, and we'll say which category would you like? No. Do you want? And we'll do one more. NUS. We can get a little more casual with this because we know exactly the context in which we're asking this. So I can say things like, which one do you want to try? Right? I don't need to actually say the word category because we just gave them a list of categories, and that's when we're going to use these. So in our code, there's just two tiny changes that we have to make here. The first one is to speech types. We have to add the new speech type, and this is called category query. So const category query equals category query. And then down here, come on, mouse. Down here, I did a non-alphabetical version, category query. Did I do it alphabetically up there? I did not. That's going to bug me later. Okay, So category query is installed. Now in our category full list intent, we can take this piece right here. It looks like I have a little banning to do. One moment. Okay. Let my people code ask, can I add a short chime sound before each one? I certainly could do that, or I could pitch up on the and category titles. I think there's just going to have to be some experimentation that I do to figure out how this should flow, how this should work. I just don't know the answer yet. So we'll get there. We're figuring this out as we go. I want to make sure that I've got everything that I need here in front of me. Cool. Okay. So now we need to take this speech out of our hard-coded value here. And instead, we need to go get one. So we're going to say const category query equals await data dot get random speech. In here, we're going to pass in the speech type we want. That's where data.speechtypes.category query is the type of speech type that we want. And then we need a locale, and that is helper.get locale handler input, where I pass in the data that I have about the user's interaction, and I make sure that I get the appropriate locale for that user. So this is internationalization at work. That's what we're doing with this, is then we will be able to add multiple strings to our database, and it's very, very easy to add a second, third, fifth language, whatever. So we now have our category query that we'll pull out of that database. We'll randomly go get a category query and return it back to us. But then here, what we need is speak output needs to have an additional value, which is going to be, we'll do this and a space, and then we'll do category query dot fields dot I don't know what I called it. Voice response. All right. So this becomes voice response. Like that. So now, same idea, right? Same thing we were doing before. The difference here is that I'm now pulling a value randomly out of the database versus having it hard-coded. So this is our category query. We also have like this category list intro. That's probably what I should call it. So we'll do the same thing for this. So we'll take that, and we will come up here and we'll create a new category list intro. And that's going to look like this. TKO Trivia has 20 categories of questions. They are, and then we will say our list. So this is another like randomized way of saying everything in our skill. So this will be another category list intro. And this time we'll say, I have 20 fun categories. I just realized I need to change this. My category is actually, I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to use that one still. This is going to be category full list intro. Oh, and then same thing here, category full list intro. Okay, so I have 20 fun categories to choose from. You can pick from, like that. Looks good. And then we'll do one more. I like at least 3. ENUS full list. And this is going to be here are my 20 question categories. Okay. I have 3 different ways that we can say that. So category full list intro is a thing that we will need first in, where did it go? Speech types. So this is going to become right here, const category full list intro category For those of you that haven't been here recently or don't know exactly why I'm doing this piece, I don't love doing string matching where I'm just passing strings around to do this. So what I'm doing is basically just creating a list of constants for myself, even though they look identical, by choosing from the IntelliSense that the IDE gives me. I know that I'm always picking an accurate value and I don't have a typo, because if I were just to pass these strings, which would be fine, if I have a typo in them at all, then it won't work. And so this gives me a little bit of safety in doing that. And while we're here, we're also going to just drop this one in because we'll need this in just a minute. Category list intro, and then this whole thing goes here. We'll just get rid of the full part. Okay, so those are there. Now we get back into category full list, and we should be able to take this piece out. So now we gotta change this a little bit. So now we can say const category list intro equals await data.get random speech. This is going to be data.speech types dot category full list intro, and then helper.get locale. That. Okay. So this value now will return a value from my database that's one of those random intros. And then I can just here change this to be category list intro dot fields dot voice response. Okay. The last piece, man. This could be. Are you following me? Wow! Thank you for the follow, Unknown Fee. Much appreciated. We're just doing some Alexa coding here. We're thinking about how to get all of our speech out of our code so that we can internationalize this at some point. But I have built what is potentially an English language pattern into my code, and I'm not going to worry about it for now, but I am going to flag it. And that is this word "or." That is an English word, and at some point I'm going to want that gone too. So, do I really want to call a database to just get the word "or"? I don't really. I really don't at all. So this leads me to an interesting question. And I'm curious how you guys think about this. One option I have is right now I'm pulling the actual list of categories that I have from my database. So if we come in here and we look at our categories, this is my list of categories. I'm pulling this list and I'm randomizing it so that I'm giving it to the user each time in a slightly different order each time. What I could also do is just build a speech pattern for English that is just a list of the categories in a static order, maybe alphabetical. And it's just that list every time, or maybe I have 3 or 4 versions of it, but it's ultimately, it's just those 3 or 4 versions, and it's not randomized, and it's not pulling directly from my category list. So if there was a time in the future that I added a category or removed a category, those utterances would be out of date, and I would have to flip and change them. So it feels safer for me ultimately to pull from the actual category list, the real data. But it introduces problems like the word "or," where I could take all of this code, all of this stuff that's here, this whole loop, I could take that all away and just call into the database and be like, get me the category list speech, right? Like I'm doing here with this and this. I don't know what the right answer is to this. I'm going to have to think on that, but I'm going to leave myself a note to think about that. Should we just hard code this category list into a speech record? see benefits to both ways. I got to think on that. So we'll leave it. We'll leave it there. We'll find it again, and we'll say, hey, what should we do about this? Yeah. So Corey, you're right. I could encapsulate this in another place. The problem that I have is that somewhere I have to have some logic, because if the user comes in and they are using a Japanese device as an example, I'm not even I don't know Japanese well enough to even know if the concept of or is there. Do they even need that kind of delimiter near the end, or do they just list them all off? And with other languages, right? Do all languages have the equivalent of an or? And would it always come right before the last term? See, there's patterns like that that I don't know enough about the language. And so when I get into this, I think, yeah, no, and I'm with you on this. The language of containing the list of categories shouldn't be here. It should just be pulling it from somewhere. And I think that's the path that I'm heading down, is that I don't even know that it's that important for me to pull it from some, like, or to generate it like I'm doing right now. It might make more sense for me to just have some English strings that are the responses, because ultimately it doesn't, if I shuffle the list of categories every time, it doesn't really matter. But if I were to just come up with 4 or 5 static ways to present this entire list and mark them as English, then when I want to do Japanese or German or French or whatever, I can just have strings for them too, and those would be written in the way that French is written, and I don't need to worry about any of this. But I am someone, when I think about writing code, I would rather do something the hard way if it means a better experience for my user, than to take the easy developer path, knowing that I'm compromising choice for my user, if that makes sense. So I don't know that I'm necessarily compromising choice or quality. I think that in all of these cases, it's probably fine, and it's almost an unnoticeable difference. But it seemed kind of fun and clever to be able to generate this list every single time. So that's something I'm going to have to think about. I think I've already sold myself on just going to the database and just having static records for this stuff, but it's very, very tempting to try to do this in a way where it's a little more dynamic and based on the data that we already have. Okay, so we're going to leave it there for now. We're going to leave it. We also have category list intent that has some speech baked in, and I think this will be easier for us to manage. So category list intro, here's a couple of categories I'd recommend. This is another one of those that I was preparing for. So as we go into our data and we look at our speech, we had that other category list intro, ENUS, category list intro, and that one will be this. Here are a couple categories I'd recommend. Let's try another one. ENUS, category list intro, and this will be here are 5 categories I think you might do one more. ENUS, category list intro. We'll do yeah, I'm with you, Corey. That's kind of how I feel too. I mean, there's the developer in me that's like, oh, but man, if I change a category or I do something, now I've got to remember to go fix all my strings. But the likelihood of that is incredibly low, and I'm probably doing a lot more work than I would be saving myself later. So that's my thought. I need one more version of this. I have picked 5 categories for you. Okay, so we have 3 versions of that, at least. We can always go back and write more. And now we can just say category list intro equals data.getRandomSpeech. This is going to be speech types dot category list intro and helper dot locale, like so. Now that we have that, we can take this like this, say category list intro, my goodness, dot fields dot voice response. We may end up in the same place actually with both of these. But again, I can create as many random records in the database as I want. So it would be fine, even if I break them into 5 sets of 4, I could do that 4 different ways. So I end up with 20 different records that present the categories in different sets of 5. But I just gen those once and then just randomly pick from one of those each time. It's still random. And I don't know that the user would be able to necessarily discern a difference at all. So this is a bit longer. This is category query. I don't really want to change that. So we should just have a category query. Let's do that first. Const category query data dot get random speech. This is going to be data speech types dot category query get locale. Okay. So we have the category query, but now we need to figure out what kind of speech this is, which is the full list prompt. How do I want to think about that? This only happens here. We have category query. I think it's just like category full list prompt. Okay. ENUS, and let's think of some other clever ways to say this. Nope. Okay, so this is going to be something like, you can say, an example of what they can say. The full list, full intents, full list intent. And what is the full list? We can use that. Okay. Oh, here. You can say, what is the full list to hear all 20 categories? And one more. Prompt. Oh. And this one's going to be let's find another example of the full list. Will let you oh, give you all 20. Now, one of the other things that I tend to do is that this is not something that I want to happen all the time. I don't need to tell them this every single time that they ask for a couple of categories or a couple of recommendations. So there's a number of ways I could do this. One is to build myself a mechanism where I'm actually keeping track of how many times I've said it or how long it's been since the last time. But I feel like there's a hackier way for me to solve this problem. I am already coming in and I'm randomly grabbing a record for this category full list prompt. And I know that I probably want to do this about half the time. Just to remind them, the times that they do this, let's tell them half the time. I run the risk with this hack, of course, of potentially not telling them the first couple of times, but I still think that's okay. But the way that I do this is by just adding some records here. So I do an enus, I do the prompt as a type of record, and then I put nothing here. I put 0 value into this data. And we're going to duplicate this record. We're going to duplicate this record. And so now I have 6 records that say this, but only 3 of them have any content in them. So we're going to call and we're going to get our content every time, but half the time it's going to be empty, which means it won't add anything to the conversation. But that means every once in a while, this content gets funneled in, and I can handle the probability based on how many empty records I add to my database. So it's a nice, simple, kind of lightweight way to randomize speech in a way that is, 1, random, but 2, not every time. And there are lots of messages inside an Alexa skill or any voice experience where you don't want it to happen every time. And your options are to either like catalog and log all of the data and everything you've ever said to a user, which feels way overwhelmingly large, or you can solve it with something like this where I just add some empty records and go. So let's go back to our code and see what else we need to do. So that takes this piece out. And now we can just do something like this, where we're going to say, well, I have to do the const category list prompt. Speech, this is going to be data. I haven't created this one yet, so let's do that too. This is called category full list prompt. And I'll just take this. And then back in our file, wherever we were, this is where we're going to say data.speechtypes.category full list prompts. And then helper.getLocale. All right, so that gets us our 2 values, category query and category list prompts. So now we can just here say that this is going to be category list prompt. And then after that will be category query. And what's nice about this then is we can use those category queries across the 5 set and the 20 set, and I don't have to have different versions for that. But I think that should be good. So let's take a listen and see what that sounds like. All right, so now we're going to say, tell me the categories. Sure, I broke something, but hopefully I didn't.
Whoops.
Yeah.
It looks like one of our programmers broke something. I will let them know and have them fix it as soon as possible.
Cannot read voice response of undefined.
You can always ask for a random question or start a new quiz, right?
What did I try to get? Category list intent line 7. Let's take a look. Category list intros. Did we not call it that? category list intro. It certainly looks like category list intro. Why would I not, did I not set the locales properly? Category list intro, yeah. That all looks good. So we're bringing a value back, or we should be anyway. We'll investigate that in a second. But it's saying that voice response doesn't exist. Well, no, it's saying the object doesn't exist. So I'm not even able to get to voice response. So it wasn't pulling a record back for some reason. Let's take a look at why that would be. Category list intro is definitely in here. Right? Category list intro, category list intro. Everything seems to be matching. Category list. Let's see. Why would this be the issue? If we think about what's happening here, the best way to take a look at this is for me to just do a little logging. Actually, we could just do a breakpoint. That's always fun. Okay, so I have my category list intro where I'm trying to get it here. So we should break right before we hit this. So let's try that again. Tell me the categories. And speak output. Oh, category list intro. Why? What? Oh, because I'm dumb. The answer to this problem is I'm dumb. I didn't know if you guys knew that. So if I actually go look at get random speech, which is in my data functions, get random speech already rips off the fields.voice response part. So I'm actually returning myself a string where I thought I was returning myself an object. So this is all broken. Everywhere that I said fields.voice response on a get random speech value should actually just be, I feel like I tested that and it worked, but okay. So we'll take this fields.voice response because I don't need that. I've already just gotten myself down to the string. And speak output here. In fact, I did the right thing here. Weird. Get random speech. Okay. Shannon, you're very kind. Thank you. No, I don't think that I'm actually like dumb. I just make dumb mistakes. That's part of writing software. Sometimes you make assumptions or you think you know what's going on and you're wrong. Let's open our trivia game. It's running, right? Yeah. Open the game.
Welcome to TKO Trivia, the trivia game show where you answer difficult questions and win nothing.
Perfect. Tell me the categories.
Here are a couple of categories I'd recommend: language, people, technology, tradition, and beliefs, or geography. Saying give me the complete list will give you all 20 categories. Which category do you want?
I want you to tell me the categories again. I want to see it not give me that 20 category prompt.
I have picked 5 categories for you: sports and games, United States, music, people, or design. Undefined, which one do you want to try?
The undefined is my fault. Because if I don't put an actual value in this data, then it gets angry. So you just put a space. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Tell me the categories.
Here are a couple of categories I'd recommend: people, music, history, tradition, and beliefs, or literature. Which category would you like to try?
Keep going. Get it in there this time.
I have picked 5 categories for you. Here are 5 categories I think you might like: history, people, nature, geography, or technology. Saying give me the complete list will give you all 20 categories. Which one do you want to try?
So you can see that it's randomizing my speech. You can see the beginning of each of these sentences if you look at this box here. Here are a couple categories I'd recommend. I have picked 5 categories for you. Here are 5 categories I think you might like. So it's different every time. We're having a conversation with the user. We're not just giving the same robotic speech every single time. Then we're randomly picking 5 categories for them. So that's going to be different every time. And then once in a while, we say something like, saying, give me the complete list, we'll give you all 20 categories. Which one do you want to try? So they have the option now. They could say people or history or any of the categories they've heard before, because it doesn't really care. But they could also say, give me the complete list, which I'm going to use those exact words. Give me the complete list.
I have 20 fun categories to choose from. You can pick from sports and games, miscellaneous, politics, technology, art and stage, music, nature, history, science, literature, food and drink, film, TV and radio, language, business world, people, tradition and beliefs, design, geography, or United States. Which one do you want to try?
There we go. So again, we have this. I'm gonna tweak that up. I think based on what Bekshan was mentioning earlier, I think the idea that I've convinced myself that what I want to do is hard code these lists into the database. I'm generally not a fan of hard coding, but for this kind of stuff, especially as I think about internationalization and localization, I think it'll become more important. So I'm not going to do it now because I have a guest joining me very soon, but that will be something that we have to think about. So let's go back to our issues, and we'll add that as something that we want to do. So we're going to add a new issue. Category list intent and category full list intent need static lists in the database rather than a generated list of categories. Okay. So 3 issues today. That's good. I will continue to add to this list as we think of things that we need to do. There is so much more to be built into this code, into this skill. So lots and lots of good stuff coming. My guest, Doug, is not here yet. So I'm going to keep rolling on this, but I wonder if we could do that in time. I mean, it wouldn't hurt. We can build the data without affecting anything. So we'll call this, not surprisingly, category full list. Oh, that's not what I asked for. Category full list. I have to click down here. Okay. So category full list is going to be the full list. And so we'll do it once alphabetically. So let's think about what we need to say here. I think we only need the list itself. We don't need any of the intro speech, although we could just mix it all together, and then that saves us a database call. Torn, how I want to do this. So I have these category list intro. Like right here, I could just put 5 categories. Or I could have this whole other. Nope, we're not going to do it. We're gonna do it in the existing records that we have. So I have category list intro, and I want these to be kind of spaced out. So what I'm going to do is just take every 5th one, because I want 4. I want 5, and so there's 20. So I want 4 sets. So we'll do art and stage. Right here, category list intro. Here's a couple of categories I'd recommend. Art and stage. I want number 6, geography. Oh, FLM767, thank you for the follow. I want 11. Yeah, 11 is music. So we'll add that. Thank you for the follow. We're building an Alexa trivia game right now. Thank you for the join. Much appreciated. Category, we want 16, sports and games. And then this will also allow us to tweak up these speech patterns a little more. And then our last one will be, I want sets of 5, right? 1, I did this wrong. Food and drink. want every fourth one. No, it doesn't really matter, but it'll annoy me. So food and drink, and then from that to 9 is literature. Come on, let go. That's 9, and then 13 is people. So that goes here. And then our last one, our last category for this list is after people. That's 13. Then we're going to go to 17, technology. Or technology. Okay, and then we'll do... Oh, you haven't seen Doug. That's cool. Well, when Doug gets here, he should just be joining me here in the streaming tool that I'm using, and then we'll chat and we'll fill out the rest of the hour, the next hour. So, okay, so that's our first list. This also allows us, I guess, to just go into the code. We can just take this for now. Down here. Get rid of it. Because now category list intro is going to contain the whole thing. And I was appending to speak output, which I don't need to do now. So this is going to need category list intro, like that. I think that should be good. And let's jump into another list of categories. So business world will be the next one. Two and then 6. Is that right? Every fourth. I did art and stage, food and drink, business world, geography. One, two, three, 4, miscellaneous. Politics. Certainly none of that to talk about these days. Category, politics, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, tradition and lists. Category 3, design. F. Bouchros with the raid. Thank you, man. Thanks for bringing 5 people over. We're about to have an interview with a buddy of mine, Doug DeVitre. And so he should be joining us any minute. Actually, I'm going to grab something before he gets here. And we're going to be doing a little bit of an interview. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're right now we're rewriting some speech for our Alexa skill, design 1, 2, 3, 4, history, so that we can tell our users the different categories we have in our database. And so history 1, 2, 3, 4, music. We can. We were generating this originally, where we were actually just reaching in, grabbing this list of categories and randomizing it. But we think that because of internationalization, localization, all that, it will be better, ultimately, for us to do this in a way where, for TV and radio, it's a little more static. I have those 3. We need to do at least one more. So let's do this. ENUS category list intro, and this is going to be something else. So let me. I'm going to finish this statement, and then I think we're going to be ready to bring our special featured guest on here. So we'll be ready in just 1 second. Here are 5 of my favorite categories. And let's just get these in here, and then we will go. So this is going to be film, film. We will do a 1, 2, 3, 4 language. I don't know why these are her favorites, but we're going to say they're her favorites or his favorites. I guess it's Brian. This should be 4, 8. I should just be on the evens, right? Nature. 2 more, and then 16 is sports and games. And I've done this right because I don't see any repeats, so that's a good sign. And then category, last one is United States, which is a little less friendly to our international audiences. So it's possible that category might change eventually. Okay, so I have my category list intros. Let's just see what that sounds like now. Let's see how badly we've broken this. And we're going to do tell me the categories.
I have picked 5 categories for you: design, history, music, science, and TV and radio. I have picked 5 categories for you: design, history, music, science, and TV and radio. Which category do you want?
That was interesting, wasn't it? Oh, I see. I see what I did. I didn't need to add this down here. That's why. Okay, so let's do that again. I want to hear this work properly, and then we're gonna jump into our conversation.
Here are 5 categories I think you might like: business world, geography, miscellaneous, politics, or tradition and beliefs. You can say what is the full list to hear all 20 categories. Which category do you want?
Nice. Okay, cool. So I need to make sure that I leave myself one more issue. Well, I'm not even going to leave it as an issue. I'm just going to leave it as a to-do in my code. But that is on the full list. Hard code this into the database. Okay. We are good. So with the magic of the internet, I'm going to jump back to my camera. We get the nice full view here. And then just magically, I'm going to add a friend. Hey, Doug, how are you? Oh, man.
Jeff! I'm good, partner. How are you today?
I am great. I've been battling with a trivia game that I'm building for Alexa, as you have been watching for the last couple of minutes. And it's not really battling, but we're trying to build a really cool experience from scratch. And so it's been kind of fun to spend time like going through this. And I talk with my team about this. I spend a lot of my time thinking about voice, thinking about building, all that stuff. And part of it is being technical, right? I have to be writing some code. I have to be building stuff from time to time. And more and more, it becomes harder and harder. Like there's meetings, there's all sorts of stuff going on. And it's really easy to just be like, I'll code next week or I'll do it whenever. And so what I decided to do is I'm just going to code every morning, but I'll do it in public. So it has that kind of outreach and answering and like engagement with people. But this is my tech time. This is when I get to sit down and build and think and try to solve some problems. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. How about you, man?
No, that's awesome. I got to give you some mad props, right? Like out of anybody who's in this voice space, you've totally taken this Twitch channel to a whole other level. So if anybody's watching, just keep doing what Jeff Blankenberg is doing. I mean, like you are absolutely slaying it with these live broadcasts.
So what people don't realize is I brought you on here just to like boost up my my ego, my clout. I appreciate it, man. That's so nice. And to let you guys know, I met Doug a few years ago at a voice event. I don't even remember which one, but I think it was one down in Tennessee, maybe. I don't remember.
Louis, Missouri.
Missouri, that's right. I was at a meetup near St. Louis, right?
Yeah, and I got to tell you, like this was a 2019 April. Right. I just have these things with dates. Right.
Right.
And I remember this time where I had just got started building voice apps with Amazon Alexa. And for anybody who's out there who's not a programmer. Right. anybody's not a programmer, I am not a programmer at all. I'm a marketing guy. I'm a sales guy. I don't code. What is that? In fact, I had this negative self-talk to say, yeah, I can talk technology, but I can't program technology. So that negative self-talk I've kind of had to overcome. And I think, Alexa was my very first opportunity with that. And in my industry, I caused a lot of noise pretty quickly because people didn't know this was possible, right? And even my friends who were professional speakers, right? Like you see this thing on my name, CSP, Certified Speaking Professional, I'm a member of the National Speakers Association. They'd never heard of this either, right? And so I started, and I got this idea from you, right? Bring your Alexa around, start carrying it on stage. And I became known pretty quickly in a short period of time as the Alexa guy in real estate in the professional speaking world. So, if I can give any credit to the person who kind of helped start me off on this journey, it's you. So,
well, thank you.
Thank you. Like what a gift, right? That you can give somebody else to totally open up doors. So I know I'm buttering you up here.
I'll take it. It's fine.
But really it's well deserved. And I think that, we're just getting started too.
We are.
Right.
We are. And so
we really are.
It's actually interesting. I have a copy of this.
Holy cow, there it is.
Sitting here on my shelf. This is your book. You can see it's on the background there. You guys have done a little rebranding. But in fact, I was looking at this and you signed this book for me. And so it says, thanks for coming to St. Louis and sharing your insight. I hope this book gives you a few ideas so you can sleep in your own bed. I must have complained at some point about being on the road too much. But the signature is dated March 22nd, 2017.
Oh, it was March. Oh, I thought it was April.
Right. And 2017, that was much earlier than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. But yeah, this has been sitting on my shelf. I've given good chunks of this a read. I won't admit to reading the whole thing. But I have read through a lot of this. There's a lot of good content in this book, man.
I know, and here's the funny thing too, right? It's a real book, right? With a real publisher. There's a lot of books that are out there right now, and it's hard, right? And here's also an opportunity, and I will kind of share this with yourself and the voice community. There are opportunities if you are a developer and you want to get the word out and you want to share and you want to write your own book or you want to get commercially published with a big name house, it's totally possible, right?
Yep.
You just have to know what to do. You have to know what steps in order to follow, so you can do that. And so, you just made my day bringing that up. So
awesome.
Thank
you.
Hey,
I got one more thing I'll show you while I'm at it. I don't know if I've actually shown this on the stream before, but there's this. And if you look at the
nice. Nice.
I worked with another guy while I was at Microsoft, and we put a book out on creating stuff for Windows Phone. So obviously that hasn't had the longevity that I would have liked to see, but I was really way deep into building stuff for Windows Phone and Windows 8 at the time, and it was absolutely awesome. Yeah. So Doug, I'm glad you're here, man. This is great. This is really just an opportunity for me to catch up with you. But I'm finding more and more that I'm just living my life in public. And so this felt like a good way to catch up and chat and see what you're up to and all that kind of stuff. So I have to warn you, and I may have done this in the invitation. When I bring people on here, I have a couple of questions that I ask them that you probably are not prepared for. And so I hope that's okay with you. They're all in good fun. They're not going to hurt you in any way. But the first one that I like to ask, hey, are you a musician by any chance? Do you play any music?
I'm not. Well, I do have drums. I did play drums when I was a kid.
Nice. So you probably had grand aspirations at some point to be in like a rock band or something like that, right?
No.
No, you were just a like marching band guy.
I don't know. I'm trying to reflect, right? My son's 5 now, so I'm kind of reliving myself vicariously through him. Yeah. Right. It's funny. He's building worlds in Minecraft and programmed his first Python script.
Wow, at 5, that's amazing.
Well, they have templates, right? And just kind of follow the thing. So, as far as me growing up, I'm trying to think of like what I was in. I played hockey growing up.
Oh, you were hockey.
I was a hockey player. Totally into hockey. Totally into St. Louis Blues.
Nice.
Um,
Nice. I can't say I was a Blue Jackets fan when I was a kid because they didn't exist.
yeah.
But it was weird. I was never really into hockey in high school. I like going to Blue Jackets games and watching the stuff now, but growing up in Cleveland, hockey wasn't a thing, right? It was football, baseball, and Ohio State. That was it. And I never really got into that stuff. But the reason I asked you about being a musician, this is still a question you can answer even if you weren't deep into music, is if you had a new album of music that you created, what would you name your debut album?
I'm doing this as we talk, right? And my albums are come out in the form of intellectual property, right?
Right.
Like, and here's the thing, and this is just the way that my mind works, is like, how Queen can just go in and just crank out an album, or at least that's what they make you think that they did,
sure.
In the movies. Right. Right. When I sit down and I'm in this like mode, I just crank out chapters, crank out videos, but I have to be in the right mood. So the two things that I'm kind of my new albums are an update on the book Screen to Screen Selling, which includes a lot of stuff that you're seeing here. Right. We probably won't get into some of that stuff too, but if you're doing anything virtual, we're having virtual meetings, you're having virtual training, or you're holding virtual conference. I have a lot of like new intellectual property that's going to help lead the industry with that. And then second is I'm started writing this book called What They Don't Teach You in Kindergarten.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, right? Is one of my values, one of the biggest values that I have, and I'm trying to pass on my son, is education and learning, right? And what I'm finding is that this year in kindergarten, he got thrown in an environment where he has to take classes by Zoom, right? And I kind of lost it because I was thinking, kids don't learn this way. There's no way he's going to pay attention, especially because he's more advanced than the other kid. Like we did a lot of reading. We did a lot of, like this morning, we were doing double-digit math before he went to school. And then when he gets to school, they're going to be doing single-digit math. So,
right. Well, I mean, I heard you say it already. Your 5-year-old invented Python. So clearly.
No, that's not what I'm saying. And here's the thing too, is my son uses Alexa all the time too. I don't think I've told you some of these things. We do math all of the time by using Alexa. He can talk in big numbers right now. If I say, Harry, what's 4 trillion plus 6 trillion, he got this from Alexa and now he knows. It's like, he'll say 10 trillion. Like,
come on, Dad, give me something hard.
Right. And so then when I started looking to see, okay, now he's talking to Alexa when he shouldn't. I don't know if anybody has a smart speaker, they have to be able to relate. And so you have to be able to turn this device off, right? You have to, maybe you can learn how to program it just by doing a quick Alexa blueprint. It's kind of funny, some of the things that Alexa says now because Harry wrote the script.
Yep.
Right? Like
it's so fun, those blueprints.
Unfortunately, a lot of it right now is poop.
Well, right.
Because that's
what, right? That's like the funniest thing you got.
But I'm trying to encourage him to move past that. And so Alexa's one thing, and then when I started, he's on the computer and he's got the computer shortcuts down now, where he says Control A, Control V, Control C, Control V. Like he's doing the shortcuts now on the computer. Last month I got him hooked up with Minecraft, and he starts playing it out of the box. And I'm not a Minecrafter, right? Like as of last month, I did not have Minecraft downloaded on my computer. So then I went ahead and got a Raspberry Pi. I installed the Pi edition on this Raspberry Pi for Minecraft, and he starts building. There's no zombies or ghosts or anybody who's going to attack him. He can build creativity. So I'm thinking like school, I'm thinking about math, I'm thinking about design, being creative. And so we're doing these like exercises that he just is not going to get at kindergarten, right?
No way. No way. I had an interesting conversation on the Alexa channel yesterday with one of our Alexa champions. Her name is Julie Daniel Davis. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but we had a long conversation about this. She's been an educator most of her life, teaching things like educational technology and computer classes for high school students and stuff like that. And she fundamentally feels like voice has changed the way we could be teaching.
Yeah.
And that the educational system as a whole is just so far behind.
So far behind, and they won't admit it, right?
No, because it's harder. They have to adapt.
And we have to love our teachers, right?
Yeah, of course.
We have to love our teachers. We have to give them the support or anything like that. But I don't know, like I work a lot in organized real estate, right? There's a lot of things that are broken that I wish could be fixed too.
Right.
So one book at a time, one chapter at a time, I think we can do this. And I think parents have a real opportunity to homeschool their children with better access or uses of technology they have at their fingertips. Low cost, right? Compare the cost of Minecraft. If you just got started, right, about $200, Pi, USB chip, or USB card, right? Monitor, keyboard, about $200,
right?
And then how much does it cost to build unlimited virtual worlds in Minecraft, right?
Zero.
It's nothing.
Right.
It's nothing. How much does it cost for to buy the most extravagant Lego set?
Hundreds,
right?
Way more than that.
And then how many times do you buy that per year?
Well, hopefully not many.
Yes. I don't know. There's a lot of opportunities, I think, to help a lot of different skills, writing, math, reading. He won't pick up the book called I don't know when the book's about a dog, but a Minecraft book. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
he's ripping through these pages, bam, 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 and he might not know all the words, right?
Right.
But he's pushing through it. He's being exposed to it. And because he loves Minecraft so much, this then allows him to focus on what he likes rather than something that he just...
Agreed. It's learning through play. He's playing, but he's learning stuff.
Absolutely.
And I will say, Shannon in the audience said Legos are totally worth it, which I tend to agree with her on. And there's something to be said for that tactile nature of learning versus just clicking and playing. But I'm with you, man. I mean, as an example, I have a 12-year-old son. Again, my kids are pretty advanced as well. And he was just last night. He's like, "Hey, Dad, there's this cool mod I found for Minecraft." And I was like, "Oh, cool. What's going on?" He goes, "Well, I can't get it to work." I was like, "Well, what's the problem you're having?" He goes, "Well, I opened up this jar file and I was modifying some of the JSON code in it, and I think I broke something. Can you help me figure out what I did?" And the kid's in there modifying like data structures in a text file on his computer that he has no bit, like he's 12. He has no business understanding how any of this stuff works. But he's like, "Well, I just changed this thing and then all these colors change." And this, like, it's just amazing. And he's doing it because it's Minecraft, not because he wants to learn how to code or
Right. Yeah. So awesome. Is this this is Shannon. I think I met Shannon at the last voice conference when we had him in person. Shannon, if that's you, say hello. It's nice to see you. And I guess congratulations on the promotion, right?
Right. Yeah.
With the team. Yeah. All right, Shannon.
I don't have the full soundboard like you do. I mean, I guess I do, but I have it all done as a chat bot. So you just have like a Stream Deck or something running those sound effects?
You going to show you?
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know. This is a whole different like topic in itself because it's not voice marketing. But look, right? This type of environment that we're in right now is the future. You can ignore it. You can hate it. You can say this, I would never do something like this, but at some point people are going to come along. So I think it's critically important, right? Yeah. So when you look at kind of like a setup to do anything broadcast, you need to make sure you have some of the right tools, right? And there's the jury's out. If you want my list of tools, I'm happy to send it with you or anybody else. But like if I just pull up real quick my document scanner, right? Now I'm looking. There you are. Yeah. And then here's my Stream Deck. And then here's the one that's really fun, right? This is professional podcasting equipment, right?
Oh yeah.
This is called a Rode Podcaster Pro. Last year I spoke at the podcast conference or the podcast expo, and this was the unit that those guys raved about, right? So this is the volume for my microphone. I have volumes for different input sources. I could even have a caller come in, use my phone as Bluetooth, right?
Nice.
Use my phone as Bluetooth to have the caller then put in the live stream if they don't want to get on video. If it's your joke, I'm going to hit the laugh button, right? If it's my joke, it's the wah 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 button. If it has anything to do with something scary or risk management, sorry, I'm trying to hold this thing. We got the kind of like the Jason music,
right?
So there's all these different ways that you can kind of like engage and make it real, you know. So and it takes practice.
Oh, it totally does. Well,
and I know that what's so exciting is sharing this with you is probably the next thing on your Amazon shopping list is say, Alexa, order Rodecaster Pro.
Right. Well, and so I mean, I've got a similar setup here. We'll go to this. Here's my overhead view. I've got a mounted overhead cam, so I'm doing this hands free.
Yeah.
But you can see that I've got keyboard. I've got a full Stream Deck sitting right here.
Yeah, awesome.
And then I've got a secondary one over here, if I can get it in camera angle. And then I've got all the glowy mouse, keyboard, mouse pad, all that kind of stuff. Bald spots, whatever.
I know, like your studio is really well done. Even the back, like if you go back to your main.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that's a really nice. It's a really nice setup. I
saw so many people doing crazy stuff with green screens, like you're doing, and I wanted to be more like, how when the sequel trilogy of Star Wars came out, and they're like, we want to do real effects. We're not going to do all this CG everything. We're gonna like BB-8's a real moving thing. Yeah, we don't want to just CG BB-8 rolling through the scene. So I was like, I'm going to do that. So no green screen, but I'm going to make my background as like crazy and dynamic as I can. So like I found this little clock right here.
Yeah.
It shows me live, like all my follower counts and like interactivity on different social media. I've got a whole bunch of Alexa devices here behind me that I can use those demos and stuff. And then obviously the lights and the figures and whatever. But I also have this angle. Do you have one of these? Full camera?
Yeah. Well, behind me, I've got the full green screen. That kind of, it's on two walls actually. That if I ever wanted to get up and do something a little bit more fun, I've done yoga in this thing. I have an inflatable dinosaur costume that I wear sometimes. I have a green screen suit, right?
Right. I have one of those, like the full body, full face, everything.
Full body suit.
Yeah, I have one of those.
You get that on Amazon, right? So there's all sorts of ways to show up inside of this little square, right? Now we have an opportunity. We can really dictate the environment without having to say, hey, can you allow me to share your screen so I can...
Right.
Right. So I can read my PowerPoints to you.
I have a very similar backdrop when I'm on like calls at work, and it has all this crazy lights and dynamic everything. But every time I get a call, that's like an instant conversation starter. Everybody's like, whoa, look at your backlight. Yeah. And it instantly like gets me an opportunity to engage and connect with somebody. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's these cool lights. And they're always like those horizontal ones that have all the rainbows in them. Where do I get those? Right. Like it's an instant conversation starter, which I really like because it draws it. It allows me to connect with somebody in an interesting way that isn't just like, hey, we're going to sit in another 1 hour Zoom call together.
Yeah, no doubt. And I tell you something else too, that you could probably add, if you pick up this unit Rode Podcaster Pro, those buttons that you have, there's 8 buttons I showed you. They're each individual colors. I get to assign the MP3 file to that, right? So if I record, I have this and then I deleted it, but it's a recording, MP3 recording of Alexa saying, no, you didn't, cray cray. Right.
That's awesome. I am looking up your soundboard. Whoa, I got to save my pennies to pick up one of those.
Yeah, it's about $600, but I tell you can take this thing on the road with you.
Oh,
if you ever wanted to do podcasts, it's all professional quality. Like this TV, what he said is that TV studios take this with them because they don't want to carry around all that equipment. I even have like a little carrying case that if I wanted to take it with me, these headphones and my microphone here, everything will fit in this like little carrying case.
I like it.
It's something you could probably take with you when you go on the road, and then that becomes a way for you to be able to record your sessions, maybe pull somebody off the side to do like a little interview, or you could still like live stream from your laptop. Now you won't have your existing setup right now, but now you have professional grade audio that really like what somebody would use for the Tonight Show, right?
No, I completely agree. I notice it. Like I have the Rode Podcaster microphone.
Yeah.
But it's a USB microphone, so I'd have to at least find another cable, if not another microphone, because it looks like it takes this. I can't remember what that connector is called, but
if you look at the inputs on the Rode Podcaster Pro, they have 4 XLRs, which is the professional
XLR, that's what I was
microphone.
thinking.
And then it has, then you can connect one through USB-C. You can connect one input source through, I guess it's the audio head jack.
Yeah, 3.5 millimeter.
3.5, yeah. And then Bluetooth, right?
Nice.
Anything Bluetooth. It could be your Echo Buds, right?
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Well, my intention wasn't to talk about streaming setups today. I'm glad that we did. That's pretty cool. That's going on my when I hit the lottery list.
Right.
Let's do that right now. Add to list. There we go. Okay, it's on my wish list. So we'll wait for somebody to buy that for me. Okay, so what I actually do is on my stream here, I have a piece of software called the Streamlabs chatbot.
Yeah.
And it gives me all sorts of sound effects, but what I haven't gone for like you have like the sad trombone and audience clapping and stuff like that. What I do with mine is more like, at least so far, what I've set up is like movie quotes. So let me see if I can find a good one. You familiar with Pinky and the Brain from Animaniacs?
Yeah.
So you can say pondering in the chat. Anybody can do this.
Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Nice.
And so I've probably got like 50 different quotes that you can like just pull out of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna have to actually add in like some actual sound effects versus just all the quote stuff.
Well, I tell you one thing, and then we can probably move on to some voice stuff. Is that at any time, and I don't think you asked for this, but it might be helpful. Whenever we're presenting screen to screen like this, we have to look at time to task, right? And the participant experience. So for this chat message to pop up, you have to invoke some sort of call, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to type something in. So
Right.
Typing in time to task might take you 5 seconds, whereas it takes 1 second to hit a button or 2
Right.
seconds to hit a button. So within all those like little seconds that we have, like people are on Zoom fatigue because people just
I'm with you.
are careless about time to task, right?
Yeah.
Well, you are way ahead of the game because you have a chat bot and you've implemented that, right? And you have all these other cool chat bots that I just haven't had the time to play with. But we're going to see more of that, right? We're going to see more of automated responses that accompany those live responses. So it's good to see that you're on top of that.
Well, my hope, honestly, is to solve that time to task problem by offloading the sound effects and engagement to the audience.
Yeah.
So it's a chatbot. The thing that I just typed, anybody in the audience could also do. And so now it becomes a task that I don't even need to think about. Anybody could type one of these commands and they can play those sound effects the same way. And in fact, for some of my regulars, we've actually set up some, I call it walk-on music. But like when they show up and sit and type their first message into chat, their personal song comes on for 5 seconds and plays.
Oh, way cool.
Right. So it's like an announcement, like, hey, that person, the regular person is here. It's kind of cool.
Oh, so you're saying that you can program audio responses customized to individuals, and that logic is stored in kind of a database, right?
It is. So if you you're in this interface right now, if you look at the comments, are you on the comments? Can you see what people are typing?
Yeah, I see it.
So in the box where you type something, why don't you type let's see if I have a good one for you here.
I think it's private.
Oh, we got it. There's Shrek saying, why are you following me? Somebody just followed me. Looks like Big Reg 74035 just gave us a follow. I'm trying to find a good one, a good quote for you.
Yeah.
Here, this is from the movie Clue. Just do ! Fine.
I don't know if I can type in the comments here. Is it set up in the private chat?
No, the regular chat. Is there a comments box higher? Or do you only see private chat?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'm only seeing private chat.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Well, here, I'll do it. It's a
no, but I get it. Those are kind of like
2 corpses, everything's fine.
So, just quick little clips from movies like that, I think are kind of fun and an easy way for people to exert their presence on the broadcast, which I kind of like.
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. Good job.
I like it. All right, so let's swing it back a little bit. I generally had those goofy questions, but we've just gone. We're already a half hour into this. So I'd love for you to share with me. I know we've talked a little bit about how you do a lot with voice marketing, and certainly you've had an impact on the real estate industry. One of the things that I don't think we've really discussed personally, and I'd love to have you share it here, is where did you come from? Like, you probably went to school someplace, you got a first couple of jobs, and you're like, no, this sucks. I'm going to go do this other thing. I'd love that 5-minute story about how did you become Doug today?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think when, growing up and going to college, I went to college at University of Missouri, Columbia. I played hockey until that point. I was active in my fraternity. I was active in student council. Like, I was always involved, right? I just had to be involved with something. And then after that, I didn't really know what I was going to do after school. I started a business during college where I produced this. Okay, this is 1999, right?
Yeah.
For time of reference. I had this idea of saying, hey, you know what? I think we should put our resumes, because I'm trying to get a job for college. I don't think we should put our resumes online, and we can kind of create this digital resume that we can put our photos and all of our work and all of our files on a disk, and then we could print our name on it. We can send it off to recruiters, right? This is in 1999. Well, right. University of Missouri loved the idea. They were all over. They wanted to support me. I was awarded Entrepreneur of the Year. Wow. And I was just a marketing guy trying to solve a simple problem, but with no technical ability, right? I was going to school for marketing, not for programming. So I kind of had to take some of that stuff on my own and learn on my own. Then there was a time where I just, I kind of gave up on it. I just didn't have the passion to persevere. I ended up working for Anheuser-Busch, the beer company, for about 3.5 years.
They've got some presence down there in Missouri.
Yeah, but I was I don't know, it was kind of weird. I was based out of Denver, Colorado, because I'd moved there out of school, and then I got hooked up with Anheuser-Busch, and I drove. You've seen experiential marketing vehicles. Probably the one everyone's most familiar with is the Wienermobile.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I didn't get the Wienermobile. I got the Anheuser-Busch beer truck. And if you're a hockey fan, I had a CDL license where I drove this 43-foot tractor trailer all over the U.S. and I ran Bud Light bubble hockey tournaments and gave away T-shirts and hats and all this. They call it PPG, the promotional gifts. I gave that was my job for 9 months, touring with NHL and minor league hockey teams. Then I did the same thing for Michelob Ultra, and we followed that path. And then I just got burned out on it, right? I got burned out of working in the beer business. It's just I knew I had these skills I just wasn't able to put to use. And then I got moved back to St. Louis. Got my real estate license, started listing and selling real estate. My career took off really fast and that. And then I attended this presentation. He was so good because education was important. He was so good. I said, what do I have to do what you're doing right now? Right. Has anybody ever asked you that question? To come up to you at the end and say, how can I do what you're doing right now? Right. Well, he said to join Toastmasters, join the Real Estate Educators Association, National Speakers Association. I never looked back. Right. In 2008, I went full time as a professional speaker. I made a decision to put my real estate business behind and then pursue I don't know, this dream of being able to impact people, not just in my local market, but people worldwide. Right. And so it's just, and this hasn't been a straight line, like this has not been a straight line at all.
I love these stories is because nobody's life is a straight line. Everybody's got this weird zigzag thing, and you can draw a stripe right through it and be like, well, I needed all of these things. I needed to drive a beer truck around the country for 2 years before this would have ever even occurred to me, right?
Yeah.
There is knowledge and experience that you gained from that directly led to the things that you do today. And I would would almost guarantee that there were a couple of moments as we continue this story where if you'd turned left instead of turning right, you'd be like a middle manager at some horrible company hating your life. And you chose not to do that, but you had that opportunity.
I remember in school, I had a choice to go and do a State Farm internship or go become a district manager at Aldi. Right? I was not inspired by either one of those two options.
No.
And I think too many people now sacrifice a part of themselves, right? To do something that's not in their heart, and they're just miserable.
There are so many people I know that have a job because it pays well, not because they enjoy doing it. And this has actually been something that's been somewhat challenging for me to express and explain at Amazon. I am my job.
Yeah.
You're getting me. I am a guy that's going to code live on some service. I'm going to build cool stuff. I'm going to be excited about technology, and I'm going to want to share it with people.
Yeah.
That's me. It's not like I'm like, yeah, I guess I could do that. Like, I'm going to do that stuff anyway. I'm just employed by a company that chooses to exploit, or for lack of a better word, my passion and energy for this technology. It's a really nice match. But when there are a lot of people that I've met in my time at both at Microsoft and Amazon and a number of other places, they're there to do a job. And it's weird when I see people leave. Like there was a woman I worked with at Microsoft, and she left and she went and did something that was completely sideways from what we had been doing on our team at Microsoft. And it pained me to think like, oh, I guess she just gave up on her passion for this thing. And it took me a while to realize like, no, Jeff, most people aren't like you. They're doing a job, which is perfectly reasonable. I think a lot of people are in that position. But she wasn't there because she loved the thing and really wanted to do the stuff. It was a paycheck that got her to the next thing. And maybe now she's doing the thing she's really passionate about.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of like, at least for me, that's something that I struggle with daily, because I don't know how to handle that. How do you not care as much as I do about all the things that we're doing? And I see that in myself in meetings all the time. Like, come on, let's just do the thing. Let's go do whatever it is. Right. And I struggle with that for sure.
Well, it's hard to build intrinsic motivation within an individual.
Yep.
Right. Some people you can't do that. They're probably not the person for that role. Right. We see this a lot of time when we do OD work. We're saying, if you can teach somebody, right? If this is Robert Mager says, if I put a gun to your head, can you do the job? Right?
Yeah, totally. I can do the job.
No, I can't do it. Okay, you need training. You won't do it, and you know how to do it. You need coaching. You still won't do it. Sorry.
No,
this isn't the
right job if that's the case. But yeah. I think back. I work in an organization that cares deeply about developers. That's the whole point of what I do.
They do.
And I work on a team of people that is, most of them have never been a developer. And I often fantasize about what it would be like if everybody on my team at one time had been a developer in their career. It would be a completely different, passionate perspective on how we solve problems. But because that's not realistic, most people that are developers like being developers and want to stay being developers. They don't want to be a marketing director or something like that. It's really hard to, I spend a lot of my time trying to instill that developers think differently. They approach problems differently. The number of times that I've had to talk people out of an email campaign to developers is remarkable to me, because I think in general, when you talk about people,
right,
people respond to email, especially if it's of any value to them. Developers don't. They have set up every filter on every inbox so that it is like a serene, pristine place where I don't have any of your nonsense garbage getting through the filter unless I want it there. And so they can't understand why the open rates and the delivery rates are so low when we email developers. It's like, look, you're not getting through their walls. They know how to block all this stuff. Stop trying to email them. But
can I share a story?
Yeah.
Can I share a crazy story? So
I love stories.
I don't think you were there, right? But this is when I did some work with Bob at Voice XP, right? And we flew up to Seattle, and this is when Chingy had his Alexa skill, and we did this kind of concert for all the Amazon Alexa developers on the team.
Trying to be there that
I don't think you were there, were you?
I was.
Oh, you were in the audio. Okay, all right.
No, I mean, I wasn't there in person. I was in Ohio.
Oh, okay. So it was hilarious because all of the developers, this is a concert, right? We kind of did the talk, and then he kind of did a couple songs. All of the developers were sitting in the chairs like this,
just watching,
just watching, like entertain me, right? All the marketing people were in the back, standing up,
right, dancing, having fun, right?
You know, I think we have a good one of Paul in there too, of him dancing.
I would love a copy of that if you have it.
I'll have to dig it up and send it to you. But yeah, it's a totally, like, working with teams is can be challenging, especially if you're looking at it one way. And it's something that I know I'm trying to get better at, trying to be more, I need to be more sensitive to the developer. And here's the thing, I've gained a whole level of awareness and understanding about developers because I am learning how to do it on my own and do it myself.
Right.
You know, same thing with developers, right? And I see here's the big opportunity in the voice space. There's a lot of exceptional developers that just aren't good at marketing, right?
Oh yeah, that's very true.
That's a if only they could get exposure to their skill, get seated enough to really get some traffic, but that's not a skill that they have had to learn. So it kind of goes both ways. At least know enough to be dangerous, you know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Okay, so you got your story to 2008. You got us to where you're like, all right, I'm done with this real estate thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go do my thing. So what is the thing? Like, what is from 2008 to today? Is it all the same? I would guess no.
No. So in 2008, one of the things that kind of made me really popular really quick was social media, because no one was doing it, or everybody was doing it bad, right? Like I'd send and it's kind of like the same way if I send a message through an Alexa device. Mm-hmm. Right? People aren't getting those because very few people are sending them. So when an opportunity to stand out, send a voice message through the smart speaker. And so I was doing that early on with social media. I was doing that early on with video. And so I was hired by real estate companies, real estate associations, local, state, and eventually national. And then I started to get international presence because I was the one who was leading the charge. Where people were doing it, right? But they weren't like sharing how to kind of get through or cut through. So in kind of like the stages of expertise, you know, social media, marketing, sales, screen to screen, and then voice. So I've never been, I think why I change my topics so frequently is because I just get bored.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
You know, how many times can I talk about the same thing before I'm blue in the face?
Yeah. So
if it doesn't motivate me, right, I'm not going to give the same energy out. And so, you know, that's why I keep changing it up.
Yeah. So how would you say, I mean, I'd like to think your book is so wildly successful that you just don't need to work or make money, but I'm betting that's probably not the case, but I hope that's the case. What is your business? Like, how do you yourself make money?
Yeah, it's divided into 4 different buckets. Number 1 is speaking fees. And that kind of, it's interesting, right? There's, you know, people will speak, to sell a product. I'm really selling myself, you know, I'm selling the consulting services that I offer. I'm selling the like a project-based work. You know, one example, you know, last year I flew down and I helped somebody set up their green screen studio and train their people on how to use the software.
Nice. Right?
You know, and other projects I've done it remote. And so there isn't like one thing.
Sure.
as far as like service wise, because
like independent consultant kind of guy.
I meet the needs of the customer where they are. I just don't say, hey, here's screen to screen selling, do this. I ask questions and then make those concepts relevant to them, right?
Yeah.
It's not oil. This is not like a what they call slick oil salesman where they're just kind of like, okay, you buy this and you're going to make a ton of money. No, you got to make it work for you and for your customers. So that's the approach that I take. Books is revenue, but it's not much. It's not something that I at least for me right now, I'd be able to send my kid through college on. Right. That's not to say that that's not possible in the future. Here's why. And this is, you do this really, you model many of the exemplary traits of a professional speaker, right? Like you are, like, if we could say that you like, you are the real deal, right?
Thank you.
So other people can model from that, right?
That's actually something that, as I get further on in my career, that's one of those things I start to look at. Like Gary Vee has a speakers bureau. Getting into something like that, where I'm actually just going out and talking to people and helping them solve problems and think about technology and stuff, like that's something that's highly appealing to me. And I get to do it in a very defined way, working for Amazon. But I feel like, eventually, some long way down the road, it feels like that's the thing that I would just like to do. Like, let's just go, give a couple talks a month, pick up some speaker fees, and that more than covers my living expenses for the year, and make something like that work. I haven't spent the time to think about how I would really engineer that.
Yeah.
How you get your name into those circles. But it sounds like I'm going to call you first.
Well, we can chat about that offline, and there's no attempts here to pull you away from Amazon or anything like that. In fact, here it'd be interesting. Let's switch roles for 2 months.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome.
And then you can just go back to
doing
what you're doing.
They complement each other. I mean, there's nothing really stopping me from getting out there and doing a bunch of speaking.
No, there isn't. There isn't. But the grass is always greener, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of, you see some people who jump into the speaking side and they haven't established well enough a foundation or have the contact base or the marketing base to be able to pull it off. This is when you become an entrepreneur like this, you are a sales professional, right? If you can't sell yourself, you're going out of business. You're going straight to the welfare line. When you're employed, like you said, it's defined, and so there are a ton of advantages to that. Don't ever anybody who's watching this, like, don't. I'm not saying like just leave your job and try this out.
No.
Like,
you can ease into it too, right? They're complementary anyways. So again, just to be very clear with anyone that's watching us, I am in no hurry to leave my job anywhere. I really like Amazon and what I'm doing. I'm just saying that there's a time down the road where it seems like I have enough content and enough useful messages for people that being out there on the road and speaking occasionally in a more meaningful way would be incredibly interesting to me. That's all.
Yeah.
Wow, we're at 47 already. That's pretty impressive because I feel like we just started talking. So what are your big things going on these days? What are you working on? What's the exciting thing for you?
I'll continue to have screen to screen selling as the primary flagship, just because that solves everybody's immediate need right now. There's people in pain right now.
Yeah.
Financially, emotionally, physically, like people are, so they need this. Unfortunately, and we can disagree with this, right? Voice is an afterthought right now.
It is.
I mean, I'm sorry, but if I can be real for a minute, it's a nice to have. It's not a necessity for most, right? For most. Now, for some people in certain situations, yes, that'll absolutely apply. So this is where I'm going to continue to spend most of my time, but I'm not deviating from voice. Not at all. In fact, I can give you some tools right now, and this is something you feel free to share with your group, is some of the development applications that I've been working on that I think, and you've helped me with some of this too, whether you know it or not, right?
I have no idea, but I love hearing.
Yeah. Okay. So remember that idea you said, hey, Doug, remember about Airtable? This is how you do this. And I think this might've been at the, what's Amazon reInvent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went ahead and did that. And now I have a multimodal skill as a learning management system that you can watch videos on your, on your TV and talking to it. And then it sends you a text message of the assignment.
Awesome. And that's all sitting on top of Airtable?
Yeah. And this is the unofficial voice marketing for business.
Wow.
Alexa skill.
Very cool.
So that's been available, I think, since like April or May of last year.
Very cool, man.
And a lot of people still don't know it because I've got so many things going on, but I have this as a learning management system to be able to build on top of it. You see, right. This is a lot better than not having one or not knowing what questions when I go into to ask a team of developers to help me build out some extra functionality that I don't have the skills. I'm years ahead of everybody else when it comes to this, and I'm going to stay that way, or right. At least that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your policy is on being able to share these things, but I can I can share the skills.
We're doing this on my channels, man. You can share whatever you'd like.
Cool. I'm trying to see how I do this in StreamYard. I can probably do it through the private and then.
Oh yeah, you can share it to me and I can share it. Here, I was going to drop this quote. This sounds like it describes you pretty well.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
That's a joker. Maybe not the best role model, but it's a good quote. All right, so this is the link to your skill.
Yeah, this is the link to the skill. And so this is so cool, Jeff. Like I don't know, I kind of feel like that kid out of first grade that just figured everything out.
Right. Yeah, but the thing is
look what I can do, Dad.
All you have to do is sit out in front of it, and you realize, like, wait, that means that I could do this, and I could do this. I have a talk I'm giving right now about what my personal vision, not Amazon's vision, but my personal vision on what voice looks like in 5 to 10 years. And I am so excited. Like, I can't wait to get to those places. But this is still really new technology. I know we're 5 years into this, but it's still really new. There's so much that is undiscovered and unaccounted for. And in many ways, we can't even do some of the things that I really wanted to do. But the example I always use, my dad was a dentist. And the example I always use is being able to book a dentist appointment. Think of the pain that's involved with that, right?
Yeah.
The way I describe it in the talk is you probably book it at your previous dentist appointment, right? They want to make sure they get you on the schedule for 6 months later. So they ask you while you're in the chair, like, hey, when do you want your next appointment? I don't know. February sounds great. Whatever it is. But you know full well that when you put that on the calendar, there's no way you're going to be able to make that appointment because things are going to stack up and it's all going to layer on top. So 2 weeks before, you've got to be like, oh, man, I got that dentist appointment, but I have a meeting at the same time, so I have to reschedule. So then you call them. Now you're on the phone with somebody at the front desk, and you've got to compare your calendar to their calendar, and it's just
real problems.
Oh, it's
real life problems.
It's awful. You have to go through all of this stuff only to reschedule it again. And my dream, one of the things that I really would love to see, especially for this specific scenario, is for me to do nothing. And once in a while, my voice assistant pops up and says, hey, you have a dentist appointment next Tuesday at 4:00. And I go, cool. And that's the end of it.
That's the end of it.
Right. It talked to my dentist system. It talked to my calendars. It talked to my insurance company to make sure it was in the 6-month window. Yeah. And it did all of that in a way that I didn't have to engage with at all. That's the future. That's what a digital assistant is to me, is you're solving problems. You're offloading all of this mental anguish and stress and worry that I normally have to have. You take it all away and you make it so that I can focus on the big stuff.
Yeah.
Let me focus on the big, giant rock problems that I want to get through. And let me stop worrying about when my dentist appointment is.
This is so great because I know this is a real challenge that people have, right? And you share this idea, well, let's say within your team, to say, hey, we're going to create this thing, we're going to be able to build it out or whatever, and you share it with 100 people, 95 people would say, oh, that's nice,
right?
Right.
Yeah, they have no idea.
Like 5, like, what do you mean? What do you mean you can do that? How do we do that? Can I get that? Can we make that happen in my? How much is it going to cost? I don't know. We got to look at the budget, and so then it becomes one person out of 100. Yep. And so The reason why I share that, Jeff, is to anybody who's like in the innovation phase and they feel like they're not getting the attention, they're not getting people to buy in. You have to keep it in front of people, right? You have to keep pounding and say, we are going to do this. Who's in with me?
Right. No, and this is just one aspect of a much larger vision. But Jackman in the chat said, "Hey, first world problems. Of course, it's a first world problem. But maybe bigger things we can solve." But he goes, "It's going to take a lot of APIs and a lot of stuff for that thing to happen." And I 100% agree, which is why it's not happening today.
Yeah.
But I think that there needs to become rolling out an API. One needs to be way easier for everybody. I'm also deep. I don't know if you've been following any of this on my social media. I've gotten way back deep into my childhood baseball card collection, including collecting modern cards and doing all sorts of nonsense. It's been super fun, but one of the things that I've found, and again, sports and technology don't often meet each other very easily or very quickly, but how hard would it be really for Topps, the manufacturer of baseball cards, to create an API that I could call, maybe I pass it an image and it tells me what card it is.
Yeah.
Or at least I can call in and be like, hey, I want the metadata for this card. And it can give it back to me as an API. Like that exists in a database someplace.
Somewhere. No, you're right.
It's not proprietary. It's not something that I can steal, but it's something that I would love to be able to use. If you take that example and apply it to literally everything, imagine having access to all the data in the world that's not secret or private or anything like that. No PII, but just imagine all the lookup data that would be like, here's a great example. I want an API that will give me the titles of each chapter in your book. That should exist.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that data exists.
Our kids are going to be the ones who do this. You know that, right?
No.
Our kids are going to level the playing field.
It has to happen in my lifetime because
our kids are going to level the playing field so much because here's the thing is they're just learning this. And this is just a fun little thing right now. Once they put real world problems to these things, it's not going to, they're going to say, well, why do we have to do it this way when we just ask Alexa? Like this is just
right. Why are you doing all that work? Right. Totally agree. Well, Doug, I have to put a bow on this, man. It's been great catching up.
Can I give you one more? Can I give you one more tool? I'm sorry, I kind of went off on the story. Do we have a second for one more? Okay. Yeah. And this goes back to the being able to solve problems. When I was putting together that voice marketing skill, I imagine one of the problems you might have too is when you create a ton of videos, you have to create a transcript and you have to create an audio file.
Yeah.
Right. And how long does it take to be able to do that? More
than a couple of minutes for sure.
Okay. So I put my Amazon solution architect hat on, even though I didn't officially pass the test.
That's all right.
Right. Close. But I had this web app created called myvideo.rip for free. You can just drag and drop videos into this tool, and then it'll send you an email with the transcript and the audio file, within minutes.
That's pretty cool. The thing that we're doing right now, this hour that we just spent, this is the beginnings of me creating a podcast. So my goal is to ultimately live stream, broadcast it like this, but then also take the audio or maybe the video, but probably just the audio and spit this off as a podcast episode as well every week. So heads up, you're probably going to be on a podcast in the future, but like I have to explore what it means to even create a podcast, right? It should be Alexa, create a podcast for me, but it's not that easy. So I've got to go find a service and get signed up and publish and broadcast and have logos. And there's like a lot of work I got to do yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Airtable's a good place to store all that too.
Yep. Completely.
Because that becomes the programmatic interface with Alexa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And so Zach Man was chiming back in. It's also, you have to think a lot of dentists are not very technical people. And so while it might make it easier for them, a lot of them live in the, if it ain't broke, don't fix it mindset. I totally agree. But if I can create a compelling business proposition, Again, I'm not solving the dentistry industry, but they're already using third-party services to handle their scheduling, to handle their billing, to do a lot of that stuff. So it's those companies, it's those partners that are the dentists are using. They don't have their own software that they wrote that manages their office. They're using somebody else's. If those things automatically had this stuff plugged in, then it becomes super easy. So Doug, I'm going to check out myvideo.rip for sure, man. That's
Cool.
That's super cool. I will check that out probably later today. But I've got to wrap this up because I've got other things to get to, unfortunately, this afternoon. It's been really great talking with you. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do this again sometime soon. But for my audience, make sure, where can people find you? Screen to screen?
Yeah, Doug DeVitre. If you just Google that name, it'll take you everywhere. Or DougDeVitre.com. I'll tell you this right now. I've been on fire cranking out blog posts. So anything screen to screen selling wise, you can see the latest there. DougDeVitre.com. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Probably more than anything. So, and then you got my phone number here if you wanted to call or text me.
Which I noticed has changed since you signed my book.
Well, this is the programmatic one from Twilio. That
nice.
Call it from your mobile phone.
So the one that looks like the super secret, like I get the real Doug.
Yeah, I mean you've got the back channel.
Right. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you again so much. It's been absolutely a pleasure. And I hope I'll get to see you again soon.
All right, buddy. You're the best.
Bye-bye.